Good day, all. Hello, everybody. And today I want to, before I even start, right, I want us to take 5 seconds, 10 seconds of absolute quiet. It's raining outside, so let's listen to the rain. Okay, there we go. So, what I want to discuss today is love spouse and how it affects everybody. Everybody. Now, what I want you to do before we even start is don't look at everybody that, oh, this person's done a spouse to this person, because it's not true. Sometimes we are just, when we're with a soulmate, we get overwhelmed and want to be with them. So it's a complete difference. It's like, why, you have a normal reaction of hurt, even if you're being betrayed, you know, and it's a normal thing, a normal process that you go through. You eventually get to a point where you're at peace with the situation, and you could either move on or you get back together. But now we're going to talk about love spouse and what they are doing, and it's out in the rampage in so many people are gravitating to it because they think, oh, I have to live with this individual. I love them so much. Now, first of all, if you have to put any type of anything or anybody, that's not love. Not at all. So, that's first, right? That's what you need to know. But if you know of anybody that's doing it, right, make sure you know how to ground yourself. You have to be yourself, because you can't really break them out of it unless you are a soulmate, and you can't even do it then, because you have to be connected and understand your purpose and your true self. You have to love who you are first, right? In order to help that soulmate that's trapped in a like a zombie, right? And I had to write some notes so I don't forget or I don't over talk, because I could do that sometimes. Now listen, there's a lot of psychics out there that are making people say you need to get your ex back. Now, first of all, if your ex left, there's got to be a reason for it, because either your soulmate, you've learned all you can from that person, that individual, right? So that means it's ended. Expect that, respect that it has come to a close. You have now graduated so that you can live on your purpose. Don't go backwards. Okay? Now, sometimes you do get back with them, but let it be natural. Don't let nobody, no advertising for psychic hotlines or I could get your ex back. I'm gonna curse sometimes do this thing, but don't believe what the fuck they're saying. Okay? Because what they're doing is they're trapping you, they're trapping your next 5 generations, they're going up the generations to those that have already transitioned, right? And they're putting a lineage and a blockage on your family line. Don't do that to yourself. Now, let me tell you what else they could do. What else that happens when I'm not even going to talk about the individuals yet. I'm just going to talk about the repercussions of you doing a love spell. Okay? So that love spell is because you're taking somebody's will away from them and their life, their purpose, you are putting them in the zombie zone, spiritual death. They may still be breathing, but they're in spiritual death. So what's happening is somebody got to go. So you go to work the next day. Oh, did you hear about so and so? They was in a car accident, a bike accident, or oh, they woke up. They never woke up, I mean to say. So what you're doing, I'm going to give you some examples. of people that are very close to me, and some of my own situations that I've experienced and seen. It took a long time for me to see the patterns of a love spell, because the so woven maliciously, because the first thing the psychic tells the person is, shh, don't tell anybody. So, but the evidence is all out there, and I'm going to give you some proof of what it is. Okay, let's go to love spells. Remember COVID? So it started out, I think they said it started out in China. I can't remember where they said it started out, but everybody was getting COVID. Like, oh my gosh, you got this mask on and you're still getting COVID. And because it's energy, 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 energy. So what happened is the energy of the COVID, I'm sweating, it's hot outside and it's raining. I thought I'll come out here to get some nice breeze, but the energy of COVID, remember, everything is energy. Everything is energy. Energy, energy, energy. Even a chair has energy, right? Everything moves and vibrates, right? And everything is energy. So the energy of COVID was going to all sorts of people, nice people, old people, young people, and it was just rampant because that COVID energy was everywhere, right? And so that there's what love spells is. It doesn't occur, even if even if you put it on one individual, right? And I'm going to talk mostly about men having it, even though I'm going to tell you about a couple of women that told me they had it too, right? And what they went through. So even though COVID is rampant, and love spells are just like that, right? So they go and vibrate. So let's say that this female put it on this guy, right? And I'm just going to give you the generics right now. So she goes into, either one of them go into a store. Let's say that one goes in this store and this one goes to her office, right? So you got people in your office that might be doing this bullshit. So what it is like that COVID. That energy is swiping out, swiping around, because it needs to release. Because like I said, if it's gonna take this person's life from them to make them a zombie, it needs to make them walk according to how that individual wants them to. Something's got to die. So that's why cancer is out there. That's why diabetes is out there, because that energy. Because people don't know how to raise the energy. Once you learn how to raise your energy, then you could probably try to combat it, like, seriously. So I speak from, I'm also an energy healer, right? And I do it out of unconditional love. I don't charge, because why charge something that the Creator has given you to give as a gift to somebody so that they could get themselves back together? It's crazy dumb shit. So this love spell. So this love spell goes out and it hits individuals. Janet over there, mind her own business, sweet, nice girl. All of a sudden now she's got freaking cancer. Because that's how it goes. It's that's how COVID went. You go in a room, you're all running out of the room because you might have cancer. You remember it was a big time panic back then. So in that panic, that fear and that hate, low frequency, whoo baby. But let me tell you something else that love spells does. It makes, so let's say George and mind his own business too. He's got a nice little family. Him and his brothers got along. All of a sudden now, him and his brothers are not getting along because that energy has to direct itself somewhere. That energy where the two don't belong together, where they should not have been together. And you could tell who shouldn't be together. You could just look at them and see that they're uncompatible. You know what I mean? They're not compatible. So there's more than likely is a nice looking guy, and there's a wimpy looking, and not saying that, it's all about the looks, is because it's not, but it's about the energy. I go by people's energy more than I do anything. I don't go by their age or anything like that. I go by the energy. So that energy is going to hit these individuals and it's going to knock their. So you got to be careful. You have to protect yourself because these love spells is the caster, right? The person that's putting the spell on them and they have to go into, that's why they tell you that they have to protect themselves, because they know that this stuff is going to lash out. So they know that they have to protect themselves, but they're not telling the one who's asking the cast to go that she needs protection, right? So what's going to happen is eventually it's going to affect her work. It's going to affect her family, because like I said, it's going to leave a lineage. So let's say 2 generations later or 3 generations later, her children are wondering, like, they're trying to hook up with somebody in the right way, and it's not just not working, like, you know what I mean? Because so and so back then put a spell on somebody that shouldn't have been, you know? She changed, she altered his life pattern, because that there's why I tell you the most important part of you being here in this earth realm is to know your purpose, right? And that their first purpose is to connect to your truth, your higher self, creator, and all that type of stuff. Church, okay, they're just going to feed you the little scrappings, because some of them don't understand themselves, because they're not taking that time to understand connecting to the creator and what it really entails. That entails some quiet time, some private time with just you and the creator, right? So that means sometimes driving in your car, no music, being in the house, no nothing, connecting, listening when they give you messages, right? Because they're gonna download, because they have to. But if you're too busy, you're going to be too busy to catch on to the truth of who you really are. That's why all this stuff is swirling around. And then people are like, well, I don't believe it. You don't have to believe it. You do not have to believe that this shit is real. Okay? Because trust me, those ones are the ones that's getting whipped big time, because they have no sense of how to protect themselves. And all of a sudden, like, they're hearing all the news. Oh, this person heard God, it's such a young person, such a nice person, but they're dead now, because the spouse that they put out does not care who you are, point blank. But they do know, okay, I can't go to this person because that's blocked. I can't go to this person because that's blocked. Loving, like people, but I love Jesus. Da, 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 da. You got to do a little bit more than that. You got to know him. You got to know when he's talking to you. You got to know how to communicate with him, and not just praying. Sometimes, let me tell you, it's real. It's much more than what you think, because that's why these people out there advertising, because they know you guys are spiritually asleep. Some are spiritually dead. The ones that's under the love spouse, the poor babies. That's poor babies. I'm going to give you 3 examples, all right? First one that I noticed was my ex-husband, right? And it doesn't even matter to me if he hears about this, because even the girl that's gifted out, who cares? Because they can't touch me. And I'm still friends with him, because I never did a spell to him. When I first realized it, I think, I can't remember when I realized it, but I did realize it at one point. And she even told me, because I became friends with the individual, not friends, associate, let's put it that way, because her energy was way too negative for me. When I first noticed it, she was telling me about her mom drove home and died in the garage. Just died, because her and her mama pulled it out, put it on the guy, put it on the ex, And then his mom transitioned really young, and she was my sweetie pie. That was my girl there, man. And she died way too young. She was only 49. For some reason, I remember that. Probably, I don't know why, because I'm not good with years. But she transitioned. And then I remember one time, oh my gosh, my brother-in-law came to the house. And let's go back, because I don't want you to think. I remember her husband calling me, because my husband was banging on the door trying to get in to see her and his daughter. And so he was like, my family's afraid because when you put a spell on somebody, you put an obsession on them that they have to, no matter what, see you and be around you, call you, text you, be in a part of your life. And at some point, it gets scary as shit because you made them obsessed with you. Okay? That part. So he was obsessed. And at that time, I didn't understand spells. I just knew that he was, but I didn't understand how it worked until I see a pattern now. And then he was upset about it. So he called me and told me that this is what he's doing. And then eventually, my husband left, and he ran away. So that meant was no calls for him. He was able to come back. It was kind of normal. Went to her, which is cool. And it took me like I said, it took me a long time to get over it, per se. I did actually go to psychic at one point because at that time I didn't really know who I was. You know what I mean? Because I broke out in all this rash. I mean, rash from my hair to my toe. It was terrible. And I've got a lot of vanity going on. That part. So then I was like, why? Because I hadn't eaten anything. I'm not allergic to anything. And I just was all this rash over me from my hair to my toe. And I just took some, one of those little things that, take it and was going. But that part, so that there's why I went to the psychic. And she's like, oh, somebody's trying to put some roots on him or some bullshit she said. And do you want to do it? Hell fucking no. Okay? Because I don't need no man to want me like that. That means he got to go. For real. If I'm got to get to a point where I'm got to put some freaking love spell on somebody, that don't make no sense. Okay, so that part. And then, him and my son weren't speaking. And then, eventually she backed off, stopped it, and then he hates her to this day. He hates her. That's the consequences, girlfriends, guys. When you do a love spell, the consequences is once you run out of money, because the psychic is going to take your money, because you're going to have to keep dipping into it and to keep dipping into it, and they like to go up and up and up because they need money. Okay, so if you're doing things right, okay, you don't pay nobody for even advice because the creator's going to find a way to give you the advice you need. All right. I interpret dreams and I give them to the people for free because that's unconditional love. I heal people and I heal them for free because it's unconditional love. You can't put a price on love. You can't put a price on your health. But it seems to be the two things that people do the most that got people wanting to know how to control it. You can control that. First of all, you have to love who you are first before you hook up with some guy. You know what I mean? Or some female. So that part. My gosh. So it, like I said, it could cause early death. It could cause cancer, diabetes, heart attacks. Heart attack. One of my soulmates, right? And this is my exact soulmate. We have one energy. So I'm not going to go there with people because I don't know what does that mean. I'm not going there. But his grandma who raised him, she transitioned young, right? That person's peeps died in their sleep. He had a heart attack. Young. He's a young guy too. He had a heart attack. I had to go to the hospital and make sure he was cool so the next day he was all right. But let me tell you, this ain't no joke because and I'm going to go now to a friend of mine. I'm not going to give you any names because it's not right. you know. One of my friends, we were tight, man. She said that she had a love spell on her, and she just wanted to be around this guy all the time. She wanted to be around him. She didn't want to see her family. She just wanted to be with him. It was like that until one day she was cleaning the bedroom, and lo and behold, she saw under the bed a love spell. That broke it right there immediately. It's not often you can catch the love spells. That was an idiot that he did his own love spells, obviously, right? So that ended that relationship. Um, Another one, a female, she left her family to be with a guy because he was telling her that, our dreams are the same, and she just left. And then she was telling me that her personality had changed, and everybody noticed it. She said that eventually, when it was over, and she saw the people again. They was like, well, the last time we saw you, your personality was 100% different. Now you're back to yourself. So you can get back to yourself, but it takes a lot. It takes, like I said, and she was one of my soulmates. Now, let me put it to you this way: a soulmate is not always intimate. Okay, a soulmate is anybody that's going to help you on your spiritual journey, and then you do, yes, get some intimate soulmates. They help you sometimes until that's it. They can't go any further, or sometimes they do go further. You know what I mean? It depends on how it's supposed to be, how your purpose is supposed to be. So she was one of my soulmates, right? So I spoke to her, but sometimes what I do then, and I didn't even know it then, but I speak to not the individual, but I speak to the individual spirit, right? Because the individual spirit is going to understand and grasp and understand what's being said to them. So that's what I did with her. And that's what I do now, so I mostly talk to people's spirit. So if somebody spiritually sleep, that's how I wake them up. It's sweet, and so I just drop a little eye there and just keep it moving. And then let me see, who was the other one that my ace girl, my other ace girl, another soulmate, you know what I mean? And what happened to her was, this is my friend Lynn. She said I could call her Lynn. Her granddaughter was just trying to do some dumb shit in the house and didn't understand shit, right? And was just taking her stuff, her grandma's stuff, and just doing shit. And before you knew it, that shit spiraled back to her big time, to the little one. Spiraled back to her, where she that one was a hard one because I was working on, and she's all right now. Let's just say that. But what happened to grandma? She broke out in all sorts of welts all over her skin, on her sister Nancy, all everywhere for 2 fucking years. She's all right now too. And that shit takes a lot of energy. I'm telling you. Now I see, what I see a pattern in the spouse is that it's not only got the victim in a prison, it's got the one who's asking it to be cast also in a spouse, like in a prison. So they are trying to connect and they're not supposed to, right? So the obsessed with each other. And what I noticed in all 3 of the patterns, right? The one with my husband, we were in one state. She was in a completely different state. She moved right next door to us because the the spell makes them gravitate unhealthy. So it's this like more than a stalker. Because like I said, they're now zombies. So the other one, uh, she didn't want him out of her sight. He couldn't go anywhere, nowhere, without her having her eyes on him. Taxing all the time, constantly. Half an hour going, like 20 minutes going. It's like a panic. You know what I mean? And then I see that now. I see people they would to keep an eye on them. They want to make sure that they're working with you as much as they can. Taxing, calling, taxing, calling. You can't get nothing done. How do you live? How do you love yourself? How do you find the time to love who you are? And they tell me that the thoughts was cloudy, like they couldn't think right. They just couldn't think right. Those that are the victim. They know that they don't like what they're doing. They know that this is not themselves, but they just can't control themselves. They just have to tax. Lord, where's the tax? Gotta go and answer the calls. It's a total panic. Yeah. But at the end, once the money runs out, total hate. The guy is gonna hate you. Oh my gosh. So is it worth it? I would rather them be a friend than to be hated by him at the end of the day. I don't think out of all the, whoever I've been cool with, nobody's really hated me. And I would hate to have anybody hate me. You know what I mean? It's not cool at all because that's a very low frequency. How do you work on that? How do you recognize that? Just recognize those tracking patterns. If somebody's constantly got to be tracked and they're tracking each other, it's a serious situation. Now, if you got one person tracking the other, that means that somebody's got low self-esteem. Know the difference, right? Don't think everything's a love spell. But like I said, those love spells have to spiral, and they don't necessarily have to spiral with the individual. They could spiral with people that they go in the grocery store with, in the office, in the playground, in the movies, wherever you are. That's why you need to be protected. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in this shit. It's real. Why do you think these people's lives are going so soon? Because this stuff has to be somewhere. You ever seen energy? It needs to. You seen children play? Full of energy, just running around. The here, the there, they're everywhere. That's how that is. That energy it has to bounce off of people that's got the low frequency to pick it up. Just like COVID. You had a low frequency, you was, oh my God, I'm nervous about COVID. Man, I never even wore a mask. People like, I work in a hospital. I didn't care. I worked in the doctor's offices. They were closed by the time I was cleaning. I'm not gonna wear no mask. And I didn't. I had never had COVID. I've never been sick. Right? That's because my energy has to be high. If I'm gonna heal somebody, I can't be sick. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even make sense. So, but the you know the verse, the Bible verse where it says, and it comes in like a thief. That's what these love spells do. They come in like a thief. They're coming to steal and destroy, right? So they're gonna destroy your family, even if you're not one doing it. Like, you're hanging around. You're hanging around somebody is being done to or that does it. Man, the thief is coming to kill, destroy. He's coming at the night when you least at the night means when you least expect it, because you're not prepared. You gotta prepare yourself. You gotta ground yourself. You gotta wake up and connect to the Creator, to the truth, right? And the church ain't going to tell you the truth, I'm sorry to say, because they go off philosophy. And if anybody in the church is doing, just come on. Because I remember when I did a Hebrew, right? They were telling us that we already got curses on us. So even though the people that enslaved us, they got it on them too, because they cast it. They asked it to be cast. So when people were in Africa, they did three things. They went around a tree anti-clockwise and put the curse on the people to not know who you are, because you're awesome, you're powerful, you're spiritually connected, but you're now disconnected. Uh, Monetary problems. Don't a lot of us have that? Because even if you got a lot of money, sometimes we don't even know how to manage it. You see what I'm saying? And then sexual immorality. Ain't that going around? Let's be honest. So those are and so if you got those on you, and then somebody else is coming along to put love spells on you, damn, that shit, like, damn, how you gonna be able to wake up and smell the roses if you got all of that going on? You got those three things going on you, and then somebody's gonna bam hit some other shit on you, and you need to know that you had these three on you. Like, golly, ain't that some shit? So anyway, so don't hate, right? Raise your frequency. Don't hate. Don't be in fear of anything. For real. Only fear the creator if you're doing dumb shit. So if you're casting spells or you're asking somebody to cast spell, yeah, your ass better be afraid, because your ass is gonna be grass soon. So, but if you're not, just raise your frequency. Like, love somebody just because. They may be a jerk, but love them anyway. It's hard. I'm telling you, some people it's hard to love. Woo, baby. But I'm not saying be in love with them. Just love them. This is raising your frequency. Seek the truth, and don't ask people for the truth. Be quiet enough so that you could hear the truth from the creator. And trust me, they're going to tell you. And you're going to think it's your own thought, but it's not your own thought. This is when your spirit is speaking to you. And get everything that was created out of a song, right? Like, he's saying everything into existence. So listen to music that is real music. I listen to Bob Marley, I listen to Whitney Houston, and those type of things, because the is not so much as the words. I like the words. Is the way how they sing, right? It's the tone of the voice, and it's the sound of the music that is able to raise the frequency how it should be, to get your energy how it's supposed to be, right? Those are things that are very important. Walk around with no shoes on. Stop being proud. Pride and ego is a low frequency, okay? So drop it like it's hot. So, oh, but I could get this. You can get, come on, wash your feet when you get back inside. But ground yourself. Water is good for you. You are 90%, 80% water or something like that whenever you're interacting with water. That's why I was out here when it was raining, because that water is able to get my body flowing and making sure that I transition the information right, because water is very, very important. And then we have fire, fire. Oh, baby, I could tell you about fire, but fire burns, right? So fire purifies. So get sometimes out there in the sun, and whatever it takes to be around fire that is not going to burn you up, or you're going to burn the house down or some bullshit, right? And I think my axe might be under another one, but I'm not sure. There's some things going on that's a little bit weird. That's okay though. And then air. Breathe right. Make sure you're always breathing. Pay attention to how you breathe, right? It's very, very important. Make sure you do breathe, because that's why a lot of people are in the hospital. can't breathe. They need oxygen because that stuff is needed, man, for real. And what could I say? I could say that these people that are doing these love spells are very selfish. Even the ones that's doing it for them is very selfish. You know, they're all about thinking how, like, no, just no. It's not good to do that because it's gonna affect the family. And the out there now, like the advertising for Tide, you know, buy Tide or buy Game, you know, or McDonald's or Burger King. That's how they're advertising it, like that. And people's just, oh, let me go. Which one should I buy? You know, oh, this is good. Oh, I could get him back. No, please. If you already learned your lesson from that thing, move on to the next one. It's always going to be another little sweet little something out there that you could enjoy, you know, or just get to know yourself first. Why are you so afraid to know who you are? Why just see somebody walking down the street and, ooh, I got to have him? You know what they tell them? Oh, I got to remind. They tell them, oh, it wouldn't work if he didn't have feelings for you. Bullshit. Bullshit. It works because you're reversing his purpose in a big way. Now, I hope this has been helpful for you, but I got to go, and I love you. Please do not do love spells. Back off from it.